What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. It looks like the Atlanta Hawks are interested in one of the free agents for the Clippers, or the upcoming free agents for the Clippers in this offseason. Now, I understand that the Clippers have a lot of depth. I understand that the Clippers have a lot of depth on both ends of the floor. And I always say, when you have potential to keep certain players, you definitely do that. And I definitely understand if they don't keep certain players because, the salary cap, all those things come into play. And it's a business at the end of the day. Even though it is a game that we love, it still is a business. And, I would feel kind of weird on this one only because of what I saw from this guy this year. Definitely not a superstar by any means, but definitely a good up-and-coming 3-and-D player in the league. And I'm talking about the Atlanta Hawks are definitely interested in going after the Clippers free agent in Amir Coffey. Amir Coffey, to me, is one of those bench players that I feel like the Clippers definitely should look at trying to keep, but I definitely understand if they couldn't because, it's not but so much, time to go around. And like I said, there's only one basketball on the court, so he's definitely going to find himself in very, very, probably a less diminished role. Of course, with Kawhi and PG and everybody coming back healthy, things like that, he'll definitely find himself on the end of the bench. In this situation here, if he does go to the Hawks, he can definitely find himself playing a big role for them, possibly not even just coming off the bench. He might possibly find his way starting for that team simply because of his offensive ability that he's shown with the Clippers this year. And like I said, he can definitely play some defense too. And, with his length, I think he's like 6'6", and he's also can guard positions 1 through 4. So, Amir Coffey is definitely one of those players that I feel like, he could really turn into a really good, solid role player. I'm talking about a type of role player that can help a team win, win a lot of games. And I feel like, even though he's a free agent coming this offseason and everything, I still feel like, the Clippers should try to find a way to keep him, because I feel like he's one of those guys that be able to come off the bench when you need him to, and he'll be able to go in there and give the Clippers a good spark. But as I said before, if the minutes are not there for him and if it doesn't, make sense for them to keep him because they're not going to be able to utilize him because they got so much other talent in other areas, which the Clippers do, I can definitely understand the reason why the Clippers might look elsewhere and, let him go. But at the same time, I feel like letting a piece like him go, it definitely takes a little bit away from their depth. And you may not feel that way because, like I said, we wouldn't know who he is barely or at all probably if Kawhi Leonard and PG were healthy throughout the whole season last year. But that's the thing with Ty Lue that makes Ty Lue a special coach. Ty Lue always seems to, experiment with his lineups. He never really stays stagnant. And, at some point, I think you would have saw Amir Coffey anyway, and you would have saw him play some, probably some meaningful games, because Ty Lue definitely, will dig down deep in his bag and, definitely find some good fries at the bottom. And he did. He found Amir Coffey. You see what I'm saying? So, he really, really, he always had that mentality of coaching. He coaches his way and he coaches his way and gets the best out of every single player on his roster. And I feel like that's always been a staple with his coaching ability. And I feel like that definitely led him to, being a successful coach and winning a championship. Even when the Cavaliers were down 3-1 against the Warriors, they found a way to come back because he basically made lineup changes at some point, but he also made things different. He also made some adjustments very, very well in the situation, which allowed them to come back and win that series. Of course, LeBron and Kyrie were just amazing. They was averaging like 40 points a game after that. But still when they were down 3-1, they was averaging like 30 or 40 points a game after being down 3-1. But still, Ty Lue has definitely made some adjustments in his career as a coach that maybe some people question, but it did work out on the back end, and with somebody like Amir Coffey, I don't feel like they will want to let Amir Coffey go. But at the same time, with his talent and the way that he plays and how he's shown that he can, really go out there and, be a valuable piece for a team, I feel like, the Clippers will let him go just based on they want to see him propel. They want to see him flourish. They want to see him do good in the NBA because he's definitely one of those players who works hard and who's a blue collar worker and who definitely wants to win. You see what I'm saying? And you can see that in his game. You really can. And I definitely like what I saw from Amir Coffey this season. He had a few games, I think, where he had like over 30 points. And he definitely showed that he can go out there and, disrupt some things on defense. And he definitely really impressed the Clippers the Clippers organization. And he was definitely a big part of the Clippers roster because when, like I said, Paul George went out, Kawhi was already out the whole season. This guy stepped in there and had some big games that kept the Clippers season afloat, which allowed them to propel and get, to where they did in regards to making it to the play-in tournament without neither one of their star players. So, I definitely hate to see a player like him go, but I feel like it might be more so true than the false. He definitely might be the player that would, leave the Clippers and in regards to the free agent that he is. And I definitely think Atlanta is, definitely in good contention of picking a player like him up because, like I said, he's definitely somebody who can help Trae Young a lot, take some pressure off him, and he's definitely somebody who can score. And, when I look at the Atlanta Hawks, I like John Collins, I really do, but I feel like he's just more of a dunker, athleticism. I don't feel like he's a good shooter. I don't feel like his game has really reached the level to where he can be a great or really, really good. Well, he's a good number two guy. He's not a great number two guy because his game hasn't developed to the point where they can count on his offense to be there every single night. And, going against opposing teams, he could really be a threat against opposing teams. I feel like any team that the Atlanta Hawks play, they're just looking at Trae Young. They don't really care about nobody else on the team. They just don't really feel like nobody else on the team is a threat to them. Maybe Clint Capella or somebody like that, but that's only when he's healthy. Or, you got some other players on there, but they're really not known like that, like Herter and like I said, John Collins and a few others. They're really not, no player that nobody really cares about. So having somebody like Amir Coffey, I would hate to see him leave from the Clippers, but I definitely feel like, he would find his way in the starting lineup for that team rather than just coming off the bench. He'd still be a role player, but he would find his way in the starting lineup. And honestly, I feel like if he went to a team like that, he probably could be the second best player on that team and let John Collins be the third best player because John Collins is more athleticism, things like that. But Amir Coffey has got the basics down packed. When I look at his game, he understands basketball from a different aspect. And like I said, playing with Ty Lue and the Clippers, he knows how to play basketball in situational situations because with the way the Clippers were backed up against the wall this past season without neither one of their superstars, he was a part of the reason why they kept afloat, and he had to be a part of the reason why because they counted on his offense a lot of those nights when they were playing, certain teams and they were trying to stay afloat so they can possibly make the playoffs. You see what I'm saying? So, with him being in a situation where he had to play basketball, maybe not under pressure, but he had to play meaningful basketball, I feel like that develops a player's mental and their game a little bit more when they're playing more for a reason rather than we're just coasting through the season. We're going to make the playoffs. We're a good team. We're good. When a player plays with that leisure, sometimes they get lazy. But I feel like, the way Ty Lue used him and the way that he played and seized his opportunity, the minutes that he was out there and the times he was out there in the starting lineup and when he was out there playing, I feel like he opened some eyes up and opened up some more avenues for himself in regards to teams wanting to pick him up. And I definitely, and that's the reason why I think Atlanta is one of the teams that, definitely noticed his ability and what he can do and definitely seeing that he's a good 3-and-D player who's versatile, who can defend position 1 through 4. That's exactly what Atlanta probably needs. They need a player like that. And like I said, he can score too. So good luck to him if that's what happens or that's what transpired, because that really seems like that's more of a go than actually just speculation. Like I said, I hope, the Clippers find a way to keep him and keep this team. Everybody come back and give it a shot again, because I definitely like this team and I definitely like their chances of winning a championship. And I would like Amir Coffey to be a part of that. He worked hard to, get his opportunity last year. And like I said, Ty Lue gave it to him and Ty Lue definitely didn't regret it. it, and I don't think nobody else regretted the fact that, when he was on the floor either, because he definitely gave the Clippers, a lot, just in the very short or minimal time that he was out there. He definitely showed that he's not just somebody on the bench way down or far on the bench on the roster that you can't count on, that can't go out there and perform. He definitely can go out there and perform. And like I said, it's like I said, I hate to see any player go on this team, because this team has a chance to do something special this year, and I would like to see this team keep every single person that they have. Like I said, but of course that's not logical. Even though I will say that they can possibly get rid of Marcus Morris. I'm just kind of not sold on Marcus Morris anymore, and I feel like Marcus Morris wants to leave anyway, so I feel like they can get rid of him and get a piece back for him. But for the most part, I feel like they definitely need to keep the team the way it is and everything like that. But like I said, I'll say this. I mean, they don't need to get rid of Marcus Morris either. If they don't get rid of Amir Coffey, keep Marcus Morris too. I will say that, because Marcus Morris, is a little bit more valuable to the team than Amir Coffey. Not saying that he's not, but what I'm saying is I feel like, if they have a chance to keep everybody like Ty Lue wants to do, Ty Lue definitely wants to keep everybody and go one more run at it, because I think this would be, an epic season for them. I think they could be a number 1 seed. I think that the Clippers can actually win the championship, and I think that nobody really will be standing in their way if they're healthy. I just don't see that. I mean, that combo of, Kawhi and PG. Now, of course, like I said, we got to see, how both of them come back. I believe both of them will come back just as great as ever, especially, Kawhi Leonard. I think he's definitely motivated to come back. But, of course, we got to see how it all, plays out. Kawhi hasn't played basketball in a while. He might come back a little sluggish, but, I mean, he has to just get his rhythm. I say about 20 games in, something like that of the season, he didn't got his rhythm by then, and maybe a little bit longer. He gets his rhythm, and then, like I said, Paul George gets his, and the rest of the team just flourishes off, the energy that they had this past year, and with all the role players that they have in regards to how they play and the way they're utilized. I mean, the Clippers will definitely be the deepest team in the NBA, and they definitely be the scariest, because even when Kawhi and PG sits down, you still got to worry about Luke Kennard, Terrence Mann, those guys who can knock down shots, play defense. I mean, Nicholas Batum can guard, Robert Covington, Norman Powell. I mean, look at the scoring that they have from every single angle. Like when Kawhi and PG sit down, I mean, really the scoring won't stop, if you ask me. And then when you look at this team and how deep it is, and even with a player like Amir Coffey sitting all the way at the end of the bench, basically, they can throw him in there with one of those lineups if they decide to keep him, and still the offense will still keep going and flowing the way it's supposed to, which will allow Kawhi and PG to rest a lot of games. I mean, I can see the Clippers blowing out a lot of teams this season, where you see Kawhi and PG sitting down late third quarter, mid fourth quarter, 5-6 minutes to go, and just resting and laughing on the sideline, waiting to the next game. You see, when you have a team that can do things like that, now your superstars are more likely or more susceptible to stay healthy, because they're not using a lot of expending a lot of energy trying to, win every single game. Every single game is coming down to the wire. It's down 5 points, within the fourth quarter. The way the Clippers are built, they'll be able to definitely have Kawhi and PG rest some, because all the offense that they have, I mean, they're going to be a really tough team to deal with. And I can tell you, keeping a piece like Amir Coffey would definitely help too, because like I said, he's just another piece that can come in there that can possibly drop a 20-30 point game, just like we saw him do several times this past season. So in regards to that, like I said, I hope they keep Amir Coffey, but I can definitely understand why Atlanta and maybe a few other teams would definitely be interested in Amir Coffey, because of his length and his scoring ability, and him being a decent 3-and-D player. I can see him being a player like Avery Bradley, how Avery Bradley was, several years ago. I can definitely see him being a player like that who can really help a team win. You see what I'm saying? And hopefully, like I said, the Clippers keep him, but we'll see what happens and how it all pans out. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section. Check out my other videos, as always. And hey, Kelly out.